My name's David Howell. I'm a general manager of a new service we launched this week called it's called Managed Meeting Rooms. And I'm really happy and pleased that you all made the time to come Friday. I think we're the last session, is that correct? The last session, so we're capping off Ignite. So give yourself a round of applause for booking the late flight back and just really being keen enough that you want to hear squeeze every last bit of value out of Microsoft Ignite. So I'm very proud of you, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you actually chose our session because we think we have something new and interesting and exciting and different from Microsoft that we want to share with you. So thank you for coming. So first of all, who knows what a Microsoft Teams room is? Perhaps most of you, okay, a lot of you. There might be people watching on the video later who don't know, so I'm just going to take 1 second because a lot of what we're talking about today and what we're going to be talking about today is leveraging Microsoft as your operations expert around your Microsoft Teams rooms so that you have a great experience all the time and your users have a great experience all the time, every time they walk into a meeting room. But as a starting point, we should all just get on the same page about the type of system we're talking about. And these are great systems. I mean, they're terrific. We've really seen Microsoft Teams rooms democratizing AV into the industry. There is a large upswell of adoption going on right now where people just had a small number of rooms traditionally going to a much larger rooms footprint. And they're great tools. I mean, when they're working well, when everything is working great in a room, you can have an amazing experience with the Microsoft Teams rooms. So the components we have here, if we just look at the picture, and I'll start with the big picture, and this is actually a room at Microsoft, and it's quite a nice room, actually, at Microsoft. And so what we have, if you start at the front, you have your screen, and you have a camera on the side, and you've got your speaker system up there that kind of gives you that real feeling like when you're talking to somebody on the other side, you're really talking directly to them. And then in the center of the room, you can see two little microphones set on that table, and you can also see a console, and that's where your experience of your users to easily join with a single touch their meeting. It becomes very easy, streamlined user experience for people just to quickly adopt. And then there's a brain in this room too. There's some compute. It's a Windows 10 device running underneath the table or behind the screen, hidden away from the users so that it's there in a discrete fashion. So we've got a great system here, and we actually have a great ecosystem of OEMs that provide these rooms. We've got 5 of them, and there's all sorts of different flavors. The rooms themselves come from our partners, and we've got all sorts of different flavors of rooms that people can buy that meet different needs and requirements and price points and different configurations depending on what you want. It's also curated, so we curate those systems, and we make sure we certify them and we test them and so that they're going to perform well when they show up in your environment. So that's a Microsoft Teams room, and we think it's a great experience. But somebody still needs to manage and run and maintain and keep that up to date and keep that secure and keep everything running great about that. And of course, there is going to be great tools in the products. There are great tools today, and the product team, we're going to continually add value to make a great experience for people that want to do their own IT and their own operations. But we're also seeing there's a set of customers that might prefer to lean on Microsoft as their operator. And that's what our talk is about today. It's about managed meeting rooms where Microsoft is your operator for your rooms. And we'll get into this in more detail. Okay, so what is the customer problem we're trying to solve with managed meeting rooms specifically? And that is, as I said earlier, there's this upswing in AV adoption. And it's a real thing. I mean, I've talked to actual customers. I'll go out and they'll say, yeah, and this might resonate with you. 5 years ago or so, a company might have had 5 or 6 boutique, bespoke AV rooms. And they might have 500, 600 meeting rooms, but in those there might be a telephone or there might be nothing. So we have these same customers coming and talking to us and saying, hey, I'm trying to grow. I want to grow from 5 to 500, and I don't want to have to necessarily learn how to do all that on my own. I don't want to bring all the expertise on my own. I also don't necessarily want all the responsibility for staying on top of that on my own. We know that user experiences in those rooms are really visible and really impactful. I made a silly joke at the start of the presentation, but I'm sure every one of you probably has had that experience where you might have struggled a little bit in a meeting to get things going. And certainly if you haven't, if you work in IT, somebody up your executive chain has probably had that experience. And I wouldn't be surprised if you might have heard about that. In no uncertain terms from them about how they just want to make sure it's working every time. And this isn't really anyone's fault. I mean, these room systems and the environment, like the complete environment to set them up and maintain them, and maintenance is an important word here because it's more than just you go in and do it the first time, but maintain them is actually complex. There's a lot of components, and a lot of customers don't actually have that many rooms. Like they might have on the order of a few hundred, or like I said, traditionally they had 5 or 6 or 10. But as you get more and more of these, do you really want to have to become an expert in what it means to manage and maintain a meeting room space? And you don't really have, it's not like you're going to be deploying 10,000 rooms likely. So it's not one of those things where building all that in-house expertise for something that you have a small number of might not make sense in your case. The other thing, too, that we see is that security practices and monitoring around some of these systems can be weak and perhaps not misaligned with the broader security practice in the organization. And this is just because, again, as things have evolved, these rooms are increasingly, they're hooked in the corporate network, they have access to sensitive data. It's important to keep them secure, managed, and up to date all the time. They're not something you can just put in and forget about. So what we're seeing is basically a lot of growth, but customer resources are limited. There can at times be a skill gap in some customers that try and go really broadly. And the result is, for us at Microsoft, for you guys, that adoption's happening slower than it might otherwise. And you really want to get to point B, but is there a way that you can get to point B without having to do it all yourself? And that's the problem we're trying to help you solve. So let's talk for a minute about, what are the real costs of a meeting? Because this is going to be a paid-for service from Microsoft. We're putting it in private preview at the moment, but there's a charge for it, and part of that charge is that you're paying us to be your operator, stay on top of things, make sure there's a high-quality experience every time a user walks into a room. And I'll talk to some people, and they'll go, oh, there's no cost to my room, they're free. And it might feel that way initially, but if you start breaking it down, there are some costs that you need to incur in running your meeting estate. I mean, and this is setting aside the cost of the hardware or the equipment or the furniture or all those things. There's the monitoring you need to do on an ongoing basis. You have to keep everything up to date, and you have to keep all the software in the PC system, and you have to keep all the peripheral firmware and everything in that room. You want to keep it current, and you have to orchestrate all that. You have to do all the orchestration, make sure all that happens in the right way. There's the security you need to do in it, not just in terms of keeping things current, but also in terms of monitoring and monitoring for threat or intrusion or similar types of factors. There's the troubleshooting that people have to do. Like if something's broken, you've got to go there and figure out why did it break? And the room will be down while you're doing that. Or what do I need to fix? Like, do you really know when you're heading into that room exactly what's wrong and exactly how to fix it? Like that's a place where we think we can maybe help with that sort of problem. But that's just a real cost today. And then there's the labor of the time of your people having to send them around as they walk around and figure things out. And I've talked to lots of customers about this problem, and it's not unusual for a company to have a person that will walk a set of rooms once a week, or even in some more important rooms, every morning somebody will come in and they'll do a walk through the building, check all the gear, just because they don't want to take the chance that things aren't working. The other part of this, so those are the hard costs, and we actually think we have a value prop here that can perhaps make you break even on those if you really sharpen your pencil and looked hard at it, on those hard costs that you spend today just managing things on your own. There's also the soft costs, which is just when things, for whatever reason, don't work when somebody wants them to work, and it could just be like a user error, right? There's the lost productivity. That's the first thing, especially one thing. Well, we'll get to the second. There's lost productivity. So you have to think about all the users in the room and how much each of those people get paid, and then do the math to figure out how much time that might have cost if the meeting didn't go. Then there's the frustration, and we're seeing a rough correlation. I don't know if this is familiar for people, but there seems to be some rough correlation between your position in an organization and the amount of time you spend in meetings. So your executives and your influencers and the top business decision makers at your company are spending a lot of their time in meetings, and when things don't get well, there's a lot of frustration. So there's a lot of frustration with end user, everybody when it doesn't work, but then that noise can get accelerated when it's happening up in the more senior levels of your organization. And a lot of that can just also translate into a reputational cost for the IT team. Because we've talked to some of our customers, and a quote was literally, I get more grief when the meeting room isn't working than when all the servers go down. Because that's just the reality of just the environment we're working in, how much impact it has on the people who are trying to get the systems to work. Okay. So what is the value prop for managed meeting rooms? And we think that there are great meetings for every room, expertly managed and secured. And we think you get the great meetings for every room out of the Microsoft Teams rooms. They're the reason you're having a great meeting in that room. And what you can get from the managed meeting rooms is the expertly managed and secured, with Microsoft being the entity behind providing that expert management and security for you. This is not to say you can't do it yourself. You absolutely can do it yourself, but this is sort of the additional value you can get with managed meeting rooms. And we think it's targeted at those businesses that I mentioned that are modernizing and expanding, and they need to ramp to meet this demand. But they don't necessarily want to have to do that all on their own. And what it is specifically is it's a cloud-based IT management and security monitoring service that keeps those Teams rooms and their peripherals secured, up-to-date, proactively monitored, and we maintain an environment that's optimized for a great user experience. And the thing that we think we can uniquely apply to this problem is the fact that when you're looking at this, you're actually looking at applying Microsoft's expertise, our operations center, because we have one, and we're watching what's going on in these rooms all the time. Our software investment to try and make sure that the operational regime behind this is super strong. The fact that we have a global footprint across, the globe, and we can reach you anywhere and anywhere you might have a room. This is actually really important for companies that have a big global footprint, and they might have most of their IT staff headquartered in one spot, but need to reach out across the globe. We also, we're focused on developing operational know-how in terms of how to make this a seamless experience. And then this last point, or the last 2 points, are really important. So one is, we're doing this across hundreds of customers and thousands of rooms. And then as a result of that, we can get really good, because we're seeing a very wide aperture of signal across that many rooms, that many customers. So we see the common problems, or we actually even see the less common problems. And it's the less common problems that are the ones that will put you down, potentially, if they happen for a day or so. And so we can see them, we recognize them, we know how to detect them, and we know how to remediate them very quickly. So a problem that has happened over in one customer here, we can take that knowledge and we can apply it to every customer on our service. And that's probably the big advantage that we will ultimately end up having. I mean, we'll invest the money to do a terrific service, but we'll also have that wide signal to be able to see everything that's going on. We also realize that we can't solve this whole problem we're mainly focusing on the software expertise, the signal across all the customers, the operational learnings, and how we can translate that into an efficient service for people, for you. But we're not solving the total problem. So I want to be clear about that. There's a last mile, and we have a whole partner network of people that can come in and help with install and deployment and on-site and trouble fixing on-site and adding additional value-added services. So we have a trusted partner network that we can work with here as well. And so they're part of the total solution. Now you have a choice. I mean, you actually have two choices. One is you can choose to just do it all yourself. Another choice is you could leverage us as a service operations provider and choose to do the last mile stuff on your own. And the third choice is you could work with us and a partner, and we're just taking care of it. So that's sort of the simplified model we have around it. The main point of this is so that you can focus on perhaps other things that might be more strategic for you than keeping things running, keeping things managed. So we do actually run a service today. So this is kind of interesting. We have, at the moment, over 130 customers and 1,700 rooms that we support as a production service today for our customers. We did it through this program we called Fast Track, and the idea was we went into our customers, we got them off on the right foot in terms of teaching them how to deploy, and then as part of that, you know, it's not enough to just come and set people up. We decided, okay, we're going to help you run this environment. We're going to watch it. We're going to monitor it. We're going to actually have an operations center where if we see something, we're going to tell you what we saw, and if you need to fix it, you fix it. And if we can fix it on our own automatically, we'll fix it and then tell you about it after the fact. So we've been doing this for a while, and we have real customers, and actually that's one of the great things about this project. We're getting real-time feedback because we're actually running this estate for these people, and they're giving us immediate feedback, and we're going to be talking to one a little bit later in this session. But these are, you know, we have real people using the service today. The other thing that we've seen, because we surveyed these customers to ask them about their satisfaction, and the other thing we've seen, and this is significant and something you should all be happy about looking forward to in the future, is that there's this thing called Net Promoter Score, which is how willing would you be to recommend your solution to somebody else? Like, would you recommend they buy it? Would you recommend they use it? So we went and we surveyed these customers, and we asked them, you know, with the current solution, whatever meeting room it is, you know, what would be your likelihood to recommend? And they said 30%. Then after we've been there for a while, with a great Microsoft Teams room solution, expertly managed and secured with managed meeting rooms, we asked them, how likely are you to recommend it now? It jumped 60%. So we're looking at a 90% Net Promoter Score, which is really a phenomenal thing. And it just goes to prove that with the right room system and the right certified equipment in there and great operational efficacy on top of it, you can have a terrific experience. So we actually have data that sort of backs up what we believed was the case, so we're really actually happy that we're doing this, and we're really happy that people are getting such a great experience just with the solution themselves. Okay, so with that, I'm going to invite up my colleague, Irina, and what we're going to do is we're going to give you a demo, and we're going to walk through the product, and as we walk through, you're going to see some of the pillars of value in managed meeting rooms. And it breaks down into 3 or 4 pillars. And the first one is we're going to help you with that deployment. We're going to help you figure out the right thing to do. Because we have customers that have spent, sometimes people have taken somebody offline for over a year just to learn and educate and figure out what their corporate standard should be and how they should deploy. And that's expensive to do. So we can help you with that stage. And then we can also help you with the management, and we can help you with the security, and then we can also help you with your insights. And you have to realize what you're seeing now is something we're not releasing yet because we don't think we're ready, but it's sort of a sign of our progress so far. So anyway, I'll turn it over.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dave. Hi, everyone. I'm Irina Andonova. I am the Group Program Manager for Managed Meeting Rooms, the service we have been talking about and announced this week. Thank you again for being here on Friday and allowing me to show you what we actually have built. The way we engage with customers and think of the problem is end-to-end. We kind of see it almost in a couple of phases. We often hear from customers who would ask, hey, what should I deploy in the rooms? What kind of equipment works in the small rooms best, or a large room, or a medium room? How do I make these selections? So what we have done is we actually have a public place where we actually publish a lot of the information and the know-how that we learned through the programs that we've had, and as well building new capabilities in the service. So what you see here is a public website. If you go to products.office.com/teamspaces, you can actually find this page. And you can browse by different types of spaces. So let's say I want to look at, I have a couple of medium-sized rooms that I need to deploy. What I can look at is, hey, what are the certified configurations that I can pick, examples of those. And let's say I select this Yale room. What I can see, based on the work we have been doing, is you can actually see visualizations of what the room would look like. What is the coverage of the microphones for the size of room you have? What is the coverage of the speaker, making sure that your remote users can hear you properly? What is the camera depth, depending on your room size and what the table configuration is? And then lastly, you can also see what is the cabling and how the cables and what kinds of cables you need. And why this is important is, as part of our service, we will be building more and more rollout and deployment support where we will tell you what are all the components you need to deploy a room. Not just the core MTR Microsoft Teams Rooms components, but also if there are any additional cables, any additional switches, maybe your screen doesn't support Wake on LAN. So anything else that is needed, we will provide you the information on that. So that's rollout and deployment. Now I'm going to switch and actually show you what we have as part of the service directly. What you see here is the dashboard of the customer view. What you don't see here is what Dave has been talking about, what is behind it. And what's behind it is service operational excellence that we have built based on, we have Service Operations Center with people who will be looking at your incidents. But we also are building, based on machine learning and software innovation, we're building and learning, operating across those 130 customers currently and more in the future. We are learning what happens, and once we know about an incident, we can actually proactively, we learn in 1 or 2 tenants, we can proactively notify or remedy across all tenants. So that is one big value of our operational excellence, where we can be a lot more proactive. Instead of waiting for you to discover a problem that might have happened, we would actually take action on that. And let me show you. So what you see here is actually the incident view. In the incident view, and this is kind of like our built into our operations, where for everything that might go wrong, we will create an incident. And those incidents, we will incorporate or connect with your help desk systems like ServiceNow, Remedy, and others, where you can actually, if something has happened, you can have a technician on your side who can go and remedy the situation if a physical action is required. That would allow you not to have experts in all of your remote sites, but something like a camera disconnect can be remedied by a tech on a remote location. So let's look at one of the incidents. Like, for example, I have this camera disconnect here in one of my rooms. And if I look, it shows me all the signals actually in this particular room, what all the signals are. I can see that the camera is unhealthy, and you can see that little bot, which is an indicator with the message from the system, which tells me what has gone wrong, and it's advising me to go check the USB connection. So this is just an example of a relatively easy incident to resolve. But if we look at another one that, like, let's look at the sign-in issue. There seems to be a Microsoft Teams sign-in error. And that could be caused by a multitude of problems. And it could be anything from something wrong with Windows, something wrong with the service, it could be a policy. And remedying these type of incidents could take you hours. We actually have a case, and I'll show you in this particular case, in this particular instance. Well, actually, this one doesn't say, but it has a sign-in error. But we had a case where a customer in Europe had an incident where their network department inadvertently pushed an MFA policy to the rooms. And that caused teams to fail and not be able to sign in. So at the end of the day, all of their rooms are not signing in. And it was kind of late for them. They went home. Our service operations was able to figure out what was wrong. And when they showed up in the morning, we actually had the solution for them where they can actually go and correct that and be up and running immediately. That type of issue could have actually caused hours to figure out like what caused that. How many of you actually saw the keynote on Monday? Did you guys all see the keynote? Thank you, good group. Brad Anderson demoed, he kind of glossed over a little bit, but one of the issues that he demoed was the time got changed on the device that he had on stage. That's actually based on a real case we had at Microsoft where the access points which were feeding the time had the time zone changed and caused the problem. So that problem is another problem which could take hours and if not days to figure out. Those are the types of things that we can actually solve for you and help remedy proactively. So at a glance, if you look in the customer view of our portal, you will see all of the devices. This particular customer has 10 rooms. At a glance, you can see that 7 of them are doing okay. 2 of them have some kind of problems, and 1 is suppressed. Suppressed is a type of device where sometimes customers are working and the admin might be decommissioning the device or moving it to another room, so they don't want us to watch over that device, so it's suppressed for the moment. And when you look at your room, you can see what the problems are and take action on them, or you will know what we have done. One other note, we watch different signals and we add signals all the time. We kind of break the signals in terms of importance. There are certain ones which are deemed important, and those will impact the experience in the room. And certain other ones, like a BIOS update or app version not up to date, may not be as important. They're notifications. Unless, of course, something is crucially important, and in that case, we will raise the incident at the higher level. We also look at it, as I mentioned, like end-to-end of the system. So one of the very important aspects of what we do is helping you with the planning, helping you understand how your users are taking advantage of the equipment and the investments you have made. So what you see here is a usage report, a report of the rooms. And currently, we look at utilization. And that is how often this room is being booked, a particular room is being booked, how many meetings there are in the room, and what percentage of them are online. And let's say if you have a room which is booked often, but it doesn't really have online meetings, perhaps there's some need for user education and helping your users understanding how they can take advantage of the technology. Or you might have a case where the room is, there are multiple rooms in the location and one is not being used. Might be some issues with the room. We've heard things like, hey, there is glare in the window and people are avoiding the room. So looking at the report like that, you can actually see how the room is being used. What you see here is just a graphical representation of throughout multiple days of what the usage of the room is. The bluish bar shows you how often it's been booked, and the purplish bar is the number of and the percentage of online meetings. So this way, we actually look at end-to-end of your experience. We look at rollout, helping you with planning. We look at making sure we can maintain your rooms and help you maintain your rooms proactively so that your users actually have great experience. The few things to kind of take away is we have service operations, which operates 24/7. We act proactively. We deliver notifications and remediations proactively. We provide you also insights and analytics, and we will be looking at security and keeping baselines up to speed and up to date rather, and maintaining that for you as well. And we, of course, we have a trusted network of partners, as David mentioned, that can do a last mile and end-to-end delivery. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dave.
Thanks, Irina. All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have some customers using the service today, and we're really excited by that because the stuff that Irina showed, it's a work in progress. And so we learn asking people, what can we do next for you? What can we help you with? And they're guiding us. They're guiding us in building a product that meets their needs. And sure, every product is designed in that way, or it tries to be designed in that way, but we're having such a deep connection because we're running things daily for people that we really do feel we get that. So I'd like to invite to the stage Jeremy, who's Senior Architect at Foot Locker, who is one of our customers, and we thought he'd just share some of his experience so far. So Jeremy, thank you.
Hey, David, thanks.
Appreciate you doing this because all these folks are going to trust you more than me when we talk through this stuff. So perhaps let's have a seat.
Yeah.
We're going to do a little fireside chat. So So tell me a little bit about Foot Locker, your strategy. Tell the audience a little bit about Foot Locker's strategy.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for being here. My name's Jeremy Borger. I'm a senior architect on the Store and Workplace Technologies team at Foot Locker. Just a little bit about Foot Locker. We are an $8 billion Fortune 500. We've got about 3,200 stores across the globe, 27 countries. We have over 40,000 associates that we support as an organization.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about like your journey to AV and like what you're trying to accomplish as a strategy.
Sure.
As a company in this space.
Sure. So maybe to set that up, it'd be helpful to understand kind of where we're coming from. We, quite honestly, we've been focused really over the last couple of years on what we call our digital workplace. Our digital workplace initiative, my colleague James was in an earlier session this week on MTR.
James.
Definitely check out his session on Channel 9 if you guys are interested. But he talked a lot about things of our digital workplace, our tenets of digital workplace, simplification, managed abilities for us to do services across the globe in a standard, consistent practice, and productivity experiences with Office 365. So as we got into the Office 365 space, it became pretty apparent early on that we had all of these meeting rooms, which number about 150 across the globe, that really we had an awesome opportunity to give collaborative experiences for our associates where we had nothing in a lot of cases in these rooms.
It's not uncommon.
Yeah, and so it was really simple for us because we want people to use the service, and we had these spaces today. And if you walk into a conference room, you would get maybe a phone, or one other conference room in the same building, you might get a TV. Some cases you had nothing. So dropping an MTR unit in here was really straightforward for us. The funny thing is the room that we chose where our UC engineering team sits in Milwaukee was this room that was kind of off the beaten path, and was off to the back corner of the building that really no one used.
Here, I got some pictures of the rooms.
Yeah.
One sec, let me see. I don't know if that's one of them.
So yeah, that top left one there is the actual room. So that room didn't actually used to look like that. It had an older table in it and some older furniture in it, and it was the least booked room in the site. And we just dropped an MTR in there. Didn't tell anybody about it. And I actually watched the bookings and exchange go from like nothing to it was the most booked room in the site. And just by word of mouth, that room became the most utilized space in our Milwaukee office. So we continued to roll out MTRs at this site only because this is kind of where our engineers, or this is where our primary product owners for Teams and Teams Room System sit. And in the morning, kind of to your point earlier, we started to see the guys coming in early and just kind of walking around the rooms as we were increasing room utilization across the site there. And they were checking cables and they were making sure that things were good for the day. And we knew very early on it wasn't going to be something that we would really be able to do long term.
Yep.
And we didn't really want to do long term, but that's just what we were doing because we were in the infancy stages of Office 365.
So I guess you're starting to get in a little bit how managed meeting rooms like helped you, that whole management and the expert operations and that side of things, right?
Definitely, yeah. And so for us with these rooms, as we populated rooms with these things, the service has been fantastic for us to actually get a lot of the telemetry back to subject matter experts like yourselves, and actually offload some of that work, that monitoring work, over to your team there. And for us, that's been fantastic because it allows us to focus on the things that are really value add to our organization, and really things like, as an example, focus on like the next meeting experience, how we get and drive collaboration and utilization of our Office 365 services, and what that looks like for the rest of the company. And so we've been able to offload some of that work to you guys, and if there is something that's popped up, you guys will reach out to us, and we've got boots on the ground in some cases. In other cases, we'll alert our global service desk, and they'll actually go send out people to the room where something needs to be plugged in or something needs to be updated or whatever the scenario is. One of the funny examples with your service is it's provided quite a bit of value for us as we've looked at things like drivers and firmware and like, you know, things on the device itself, but also on the companion devices, where we've gotten value from you guys letting us know, hey, you know, you're seeing this issue, we're seeing this issue in this particular room, and by doing these steps, you know, that should go away. And so we'll go do those steps because we got boots on the ground, and service returns.
It's an advisory sort of role in some of these cases.
Correct.
And that is one of the things we were talking about earlier is like the insights we're getting across multiple customers. We can kind of help you get very targeted, I think.
Yeah. One of the other funny things too is one of the rooms we actually had an alert from you guys letting us know that one of the cameras we were using was not a certified device.
So there we go.
And it was actually kind of funny because like, no, don't worry about that one. We're just playing around with some stuff. It was in a room that technically was a production room, but we were just playing with some stuff. So we got some awesome engagement from your team.
So we were keeping an eye on things.
Yes, you were definitely keeping an eye on things, and you told us, hey, that camera is not the right, not the certified camera to be using. So it's been great.
Good. Hey, and the one thing you told me, I think once you said to me, I think you said something about like you not really wanting to be in that business. Do you remember when you said that to me? Because that really resonated. I think that might resonate with, like, for the customers that are interested in a service like that, is that sentiment that I think really resonates.
Yeah, I think for us, like the value add thing is for us to focus on the things that are value add to our organization, and having to walk around and watch over this stuff from a lot of perspectives, and probably from a lot of customers' perspectives, you probably don't want people doing those tasks. So for us, it's really about focusing on the value add things for the organization. And these devices are so purpose-built and so critical to the meeting experience that, you know, quite frankly, I'd rather have the guys working on some really exciting new experiences with some other Office 365 products than worrying about, you know, our cables unplugged or drivers up to date or whatever the issue is. Right.
Cool.
So.
Hey, thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
very
thank
much
you guys.
so. Thanks, Jeremy. This is the part that actually makes our job feel great at Microsoft, when we actually can, you know, give that direct value to our customers and feel that it's actually having an impact on how they do their jobs. You know, it's interesting, out of the 100 customers, you know, that we have in the TAP program, it's almost like we have all these customers, and they have two things in common, it seems. Like, one is that it's essential for them to have a great meeting experience. It's essential for their users that they have great meeting experience. And the second is they don't really want to have to take care of it all themselves. And they sort of share that. Okay, let me talk through our partners and how we, like, what's your role, what's the partner's role, what's the responsibility, how do we see the responsibility breaking down as we build out this service? So, you know, first of all, like, what's your responsibility as the customer? Like, your responsibility, you become less responsible for having to keep your eyes on things, managing, maintaining, keeping things up to date. I mean, really what we're trying to give you is peace of mind so that you don't have to worry, do you have all the expertise you need to do this at the level that's expected? You can sort of trust us to have invested to have that. But your responsibility, there is still a responsibility, because, you know, the funny thing is, when a meeting doesn't work, and it might even be a user problem, people get very creative, right? They will go in there, go under the desk, rip a cable out, do something like that. I'm sure you've seen it. We've seen it. And so there's some things that still require somebody going to a room to fix something. So we can get really targeted, and a lot of things we can fix for you, and a lot of insights we can give you to help you do all the strategic planning you need to do. And there is a lot that you still will need to do around, like, understanding what your rollout strategy is, understanding your adoption strategy, understanding change management, knowing which are your sort of trial rooms, which would be like your mainstream ones, which are your VIP ones, because we need you to sort of tell us all those things so we can set up orchestration to do rollouts and other things. But, you know, fundamentally, at the end of the day, if something needs to be plugged back in a room, you're going to need to figure out a way to do that at the moment. So your responsibility as a customer is to cover that last mile. Now, you don't have to do this on your own, though. I mean, we do have a broad sort of ecosystem of partners that can help with a lot of these aspects. And these partners are actually pretty excited about the service we're announcing. Like just in the first day alone, we had 150 partners expressing interest in learning more about how they could partner with us. So it's definitely something where we're going to have a broad partner ecosystem working with us. And if you just look at the categories of partners that we have, is we have our OEM hardware partners, and they're the ones that give you those, you know, when you saw that showcase of devices Arena showed earlier, or the Teams room I showed earlier, they're the ones that supply that room equipment. They do a tremendous job. And then there's distributors that sell it down through a broad channel, and they have to train all the resellers and other people, so we're working with them as this being an offer that can kind of go down and people can get educated on and know how to offer. And then you have the other type of partner you'll have is there's the AV integrator, who's the traditional AV expert that might go in and install a room and set everything up and configure it for you. And there's also, more commonly now, we're seeing a lot of system integrators doing AV integration as well. And then they're also offering broader managed services that that can handle everything. They can handle all of like your meeting rooms, and they can provide that last mile, or they can provide concierge services, or they can provide user training, or the change management that I talked about, and just help shepherd your organization through things and take on like the end-to-end responsibility. And so the way we think about our services can be a building block for some of these other folks trying to deliver value to you. And so they can leverage our building block, and you can have confidence that Microsoft is behind that block, like the kind of the hardcore operations and keeping things really running well, and then they can wrap it with additional value. And we think there's a lot of value for that because we're willing to invest in that problem, and then they can invest in the things that surround it. So we think there's a strong ecosystem play, and we also believe that this isn't just Microsoft alone solving this problem, that you know, we're really moving into an area of services where we want to give you like total customer value where the problem is solved end to end, so that you know, you'll have a great experience and you go along our value chain to get that. All right, so just to recap, we're doing good on time. I just wanted to, this sort of puts together Microsoft Teams rooms with Microsoft Managed Rooms. And so that, you know, and you should think about these two things as complementing each other. So the Microsoft Teams rooms, you get an easy to use experience. You know, it's amazing experience. I'm sure if you're here, you've probably all investigated somewhat. You know, you can work like you're in one place. You can transform your spaces, be great communication experiences. And in the product, there are tools, and you know, there's tools, and those will improve, and you have more and more management experiences that you can do on your own. So let there be no mistake, you can totally just manage this by yourself. But there is a set of customers for which managed meeting rooms make sense. And that's where you're leaning on Microsoft for expert management and security. And in the expert management, we're looking at 24/7, 365 monitoring, alerting, instant management, like Arena showed you, resolution of those incidents, global service availability, and we're building on, you know, strong Microsoft platforms as well. We're all part of one company, so we can tap into all the assets we have available to deliver that service to you. And we're also looking to help you with that planning and deployment problem, because honestly, companies spend as much money just figuring out how to roll things out and rolling and expanding, and this isn't a hardware, this is just orchestration operations cost, as they do just maintaining and running things. So we want to help with that problem too. We're doing proactive security for you, keeping things up to date and secured. We're looking at enhanced insights, trying to give you inventory management, knowledge of what's in your room, how it's utilized, how it relates to each other, and how you can capacity plan, and other insights that seem to make sense as we go along. And then actually, because we have a community of customers, we can show you where you are relative to others, choices others have made. You know, is your security posture as strong as everyone in our network? Or are there places where you should make some changes? We can advise you on all those things because we'll see all that data. And then the last one is that we have, and this is a pillar for us, that we have a trusted partner network helping you be successful. And one thing we can do with that trusted partner network is we can manage and we can monitor how quickly they're responding to your issues. So you as a customer get an end-to-end view of how quickly things are being remediated, how your partner's performing, and how they're, you know, providing great service to you. And this is something that you won't necessarily typically get. So taken together, that's the value prop of our managed meeting rooms. And then I guess the last step, our last thing is our call to action, which is, please, we have a private preview now. We're taking new customers into it. Like what we've done here at Ignite is we've launched this initiative. We're telling our customers about it. We want to gather more interested customers into the fold so that they can experience what Irina was showing today, and they can experience Microsoft managing on your behalf. And we appreciate people joining too, because it helps us learn, and it helps us build the right product for you, so that it's something when we get to the point where it's commercially available, we know the value's there for you, and we've done our job, and that paying for something like this is something that just makes sense to you because there's enough value in it for you. So we want to get there with you. So our ask is, please see the URL there, go there, sign your organization up. We'll be happy to bring you on board and help you out. And thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. Last session, so good Ignite for all of you. I hope it was worth your time. On your way out, there's a bunch of boxes at the back where we have water bottles and swag and things. So get your last Ignite souvenir, take it back, help advertise Managed Meeting Rooms, and thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.